This video is a full review of the best Hog Rider deck in Clash Royale right now. This new Hog Rider Earthquake deck has been dominating Clash Royale Ladder and also dominating the Clash Royale competitive scene. But should you use this deck, and if so, how do you use this deck? Well, we're going to be answering both of those questions right now.
Wait a minute, what? Away we go!
Random got number 2 in the world last season using this Hog Rider Earthquake deck. So I thought to myself, could this be the second best deck in Clash Royale? Could this be the best Hog Rider deck in Clash Royale? Could I be the best in Clash Royale if I use this deck? Well, to answer these questions, I tried using this Hog Earthquake deck on stream to learn more about the deck. The first game I played with this deck, I got destroyed by a Lava Hound deck. It was very difficult to stop his lava balloon pushes with only having archers as my one air defense. Especially difficult because he also had arrows, which made my archers go bye-bye. I don't play a lot of Hog Rider myself, but I do play a lot of Royal Hogs, and especially Royal Hogs and Earthquake, so I thought this deck would be very similar, but it felt very different. The next game I played against a Royal Hogs Fireball bait deck, and this was one of the easiest games of my life. So right away I realized how matchup dependent this deck was. Depending on which deck your opponent used, pretty much determined if you were going to win or lose the game. And personally, I found this very annoying, so I tried to fix it. Because I kept playing against Lava Loon decks, and a lot of decks had arrows, which totally destroyed my archers, I decided to make a change, and that change was putting in the musketeer for the archers. And it worked! This made Lava Hound decks a lot more manageable, and if my opponent did have arrows, at least my musketeer, my only air defense, would still be alive. So success! We did it! Woot woot! Victory screech! But wait, there was a problem. This made graveyard matchups a lot harder, and if you play Clash Royale, you know how popular graveyard is. The attack speed of the musketeer was just not sufficient to deal with graveyards, especially when compared to the archers, who could easily deal with a graveyard by themselves. So now I had to activate my big brain to figure out a solution to this problem, so I cried to my Twitch chat for help. My Twitch chat recommended using the Inferno Tower and the archers instead of the Bomb Tower and the musketeer, and it worked. Having the archers for the graveyard and the Inferno Tower for the Lava Hound made once very difficult matchups very, very easy. And this is it. This was the final iteration of Hog Earthquake decks. We did it. We found it. We found the best Hog Earthquake deck in the game. Now we can all sleep happy. But wait, what is this? CRL players changed the deck?
What did you say?
Adding in Hunter for Royal Delivery? Was this the missing piece? So with this new iteration of the deck, I had to give it a try. So the Hunter went in and the Royal Delivery was out. So I gave the Hunter a try instead of the Royal Delivery, and the first match I went up against was a Lava Loon Miner deck. And this was a deck I struggled a lot in the past using this deck, especially without having the Inferno Tower. I didn't really know how it was gonna work. Well, it worked well. I beat him. I slapped him. It wasn't that bad at all. The Hunter did a really, really good job, and it made this matchup very manageable. I guess the Hunter made a lot of sense in this deck. The Royal Delivery is an okay card, and the Hunter is amazing right now. The Hunter helped with the overall defense of the deck, especially against air troops. Also giving this deck a little bit more offensive power when compared to the Royal Recruit that comes out of the Royal Delivery. And it also added a ton of firepower, and come on, just look at that mustache. So, should you use this deck? And the answer is yes, 100% yes, you should try out this deck. This deck is amazing. I was able to get my personal best of the season at 6,211 trophies, which was top 6,000 in the world. You can use the Archer and the Inferno Tower, you can use the Musketeer and the Bomb Tower version, but I think the best version of this, it's not even close, is switching the Royal Recruit out with the Hunter and then using the Archers and the Bomb Tower. This is the one I had the most success with, and this is the one I think you should try. This deck is also very free to play, having only one legendary, and if you use the Hunter, one epic, and the rest of the cards are rares and commons. So now that you know the deck is good, how do you play the deck? When starting off a game, my favorite play was to go Hog Rider, and if you have them, use your skeletons as well. This makes it so if your opponent uses their Tornado to pull your Hog Rider to their King Tower to activate it, your skeletons can still walk on to the Princess Tower, get a couple of hits in, or your opponent at least has to use something to deal with the skeletons. If you don't have the Hog Rider in your opening hand, you can go Knight at the back, you can go Archers at the back, you can go Skeletons at the back, you can even go Log at the bridge. All these work, no problem. The biggest tip I have for you guys using this deck is to use offensive hogs when your opponent is attacking. If your opponent is setting up a big push, you can start establishing your defense using the knight, using the archers, using the bomb tower, and once you feel like you have a defense established, you can go with a Hog Rider offensively on the opposite lane. Two things can happen next. Your opponent can use elixir to defend the Hog Rider, and that means they'll have less elixir for their offense, making their attack less threatening and easier for you to deal with. Or your opponent leaves the Hog Rider, most likely losing a tower in the process and focusing all on attack. That isn't the worst for you. Just because this deck has a lot of defensive tools, you should be able to defend pretty much any push, or at least have a tower remaining at the end. So remember to use offensive hogs when defending with this deck. The next tip I have for you guys is to use your Earthquake to close out games. At level 13, an Earthquake does 297 damage to your opponent's tower, and if you use 3 Earthquakes, that's 891 damage. That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
And in ×2 elixir, it's very easy for you to play your Earthquake, defend, get back to another Earthquake, play it, and play multiple Earthquakes in a very short time. This is especially helpful if your opponent has a lot of ways to defend your Hog Rider. In these situations, don't play your Hog Rider. Use the Earthquake to close out the game. Most of the games I won were because of the Earthquake and not because of the Hog Rider. Another great tip is how to deal with the Fisherman. The Fisherman is a very popular card in Clash Royale right now, arguably one of the most broken cards in the game. It's very annoying for Hog Rider players to deal with the Fisherman because the Fisherman can be used to activate your opponent's King Tower and totally counter the Hog Rider on defense, unless you use the log. The log can be used on the Fisherman when you use the Hog Rider to reset the pull of the Fisherman, allowing your hog to get an extra hit on the tower, or maybe even 2. Also, one time I used the log and it actually pushed the Fisherman out of range of the Hog Rider, and the Fisherman didn't even go for him. Here's a little quick tip. You can use the log and the Earthquake to deal with some of those annoying units like the Magic Archer and the Firecracker. It's a 5-for-4 trade in the Magic Archer situation, but a lot of times it's good. The last tip I have for you guys is to use defensive Hog Riders. Defensive Hog Riders are a great way to add another level of defense to your game, able to pull your opponent's units away from your Princess Tower, or just able to distract your opponent's attacking units. If you want to be the best Hog Rider player in Clash Royale, well, mastering the defensive Hog Rider is how you do it. I would suggest practicing using defensive Hog Riders in your own games, and remember to be creative. If a mini P.E.K.K.A is coming towards your Princess Tower and you don't have your skeletons to defend this mini P.E.K.K.A efficiently, well, you can use your Hog Rider to pull the mini P.E.K.K.A away from your Princess Tower, taking out the mini P.E.K.K.A and having a little bit of offense. The defensive Hog Rider separates good Hog Rider players from great Hog Rider players. So this is the best Hog Rider deck right now in Clash Royale, and I definitely think you should give it a try. And I hope this review can help you when you try out this Hog Rider Earthquake deck yourself. And if you want a little bit of more Hog Rider in your life, well, check out this Top Ladder 2.6 gameplay. Or if you're sick of Hog Rider and you want to try a new deck in Clash Royale, well, here, learn some Graveyard with this Graveyard starter guide. I'll see you guys in one of those videos. Deuces.